The Spiritual Revolution: How Self Love is Transforming Black Women's Lives from the Inside Out. Thank you all for being here today. I want to begin by sharing something extraordinary that happened to me recently. I had the profound privilege of sitting down with Etorya M. Johnson, a visionary whose work is fundamentally reshaping how we understand the intersection of love, spirituality, and professional growth within the Black community. Etorya isn't just a thought leader, she's a spiritual revolutionary. Her insights have ignited a movement that's spreading quietly but powerfully across communities, challenging the very foundations of how we understand love's role in our lives. What makes her work so transformative is her ability to see beyond our cultural conditioning, to recognize patterns we've been too close to notice, and to articulate truths we've felt but couldn't name. What struck me most deeply in our conversation was Etoria's central insight. We've been thinking about love all wrong, all wrong. Most of us have been taught to compartmentalize love, haven't we? We have our romantic relationships here, our professional identities there, our family dynamics somewhere else entirely. We're told that spirituality belongs in sacred spaces, not boardrooms, that vulnerability has no place in leadership. That strength means never showing weakness. But what if this fragmentation is precisely what's keeping us from experiencing the transformative power of love in every dimension of our lives? This is the radical truth that Etorya M. Johnson has dedicated her life to illuminating. Love guidance, when rooted in spiritual principles, isn't just about finding a romantic partner or healing family wounds. It's a holistic framework that transforms every single connection in our lives, from boardroom to living room, from community spaces to the sacred relationship we have with ourselves. I know what some of you are thinking: love in the workplace, spirituality in my career. That sounds impractical, maybe even unprofessional. I thought the same thing initially. The conventional wisdom tells us that professional success requires compartmentalization. Leave your personal life at the door. Don't bring your whole self to work. Maintain strict boundaries between your spiritual life and your career ambitions. We're taught that vulnerability is weakness, that showing too much compassion might undermine our authority. But what if this conventional wisdom is exactly what's burning us out? What if it's precisely this artificial separation that's making so many of us, particularly Black women professionals, feel fragmented, exhausted, and disconnected? This is where Etoria's insights become revolutionary. She proposes something radical, that integrating spiritual love guidance into every aspect of our lives doesn't weaken our professional standing, it fundamentally transforms it. Let me share three key insights from my conversation with Victoria that might forever change how you think about love, spirituality, and professional growth. First, spiritual love guidance empowers you to lead with compassion and authenticity, not just at home, but in your professional journey as well. When we bring our whole selves to work, including our capacity for deep empathy and spiritual connection, we don't diminish our authority, we enhance it. Second, healing relationships, even the most challenging ones, like those with parents or difficult colleagues, often begins by nurturing self love and understanding your own spiritual needs. The relationship with yourself is the template for every other relationship in your life. And third, integrating spirituality into daily practices can help Black professionals build resilience against workplace adversity while fostering deeper connections within their community. This isn't just about personal wellness, it's about collective healing. I understand if you're skeptical. These claims are significant. So let me share some real world examples that illustrate exactly how this integration of love, spirituality, and professional development is creating tangible transformation right now. Consider the story of Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, founder of Therapy for Black Girls. Several years ago, Dr. Joy recognized a critical gap. Traditional therapy spaces were consistently failing to address the unique needs of Black women seeking both emotional and spiritual support. Many Black women weren't just facing stigma around mental health, they were struggling to find therapists who truly understood the intersection of their cultural background, professional challenges, and spiritual needs. The experience of being both Black and female in professional spaces creates unique pressures that conventional therapy often overlooks entirely. Rather than simply lamenting this reality, Dr. Joy created an online platform connecting Black women to culturally competent therapists. But she didn't stop there. The organization developed comprehensive directories of therapists and launched podcasts discussing topics like self love and mother daughter healing from a spiritual lens. The impact has been extraordinary. Thousands of women have accessed therapy resources that speak directly to their lived experiences. The podcast has millions of downloads. Conversations about generational healing are now mainstream among listeners. What began as a resource has evolved into one of the largest mental health platforms dedicated to Black women, featured on national media outlets, and sparked new research into culturally relevant care models. But perhaps most significantly, it has normalized discussions around spirituality as part of holistic wellness in the broader community. This isn't just therapy, it's spiritual revolution disguised as mental health support. Or consider the transformative work of Rachel Cargill and the Loveland Foundation. Rachel recognized that financial barriers were preventing many Black women from accessing quality mental health care attuned to both cultural identity and spirituality. The foundation solution was brilliantly simple, yet profoundly effective. Provide therapy grants specifically for Black women and girls focusing on emotional and often spiritual healing journeys. These grants enabled recipients to choose therapists aligned with their values, including faith based practitioners where desired. The results speak volumes. Over $5 million distributed since inception. Hundreds report improved family relationships after engaging in spiritually guided counseling sessions. National partnerships with major brands and foundations have formed. Recipient stories highlight breakthroughs tied explicitly to integrating faith and spirituality into therapy work. What the Loveland Foundation demonstrates is the scalable impact possible when centering love and spirituality at the heart of professional support systems. This isn't just charity, it's structural transformation through spiritual principles. A third example that particularly resonates with entrepreneurs and business leaders is Heal House, a Brooklyn based wellness studio co founded by Darian Hall. Heal House created inclusive spaces blending yoga, meditation, and talk therapy, all grounded in principles of radical self love and spirituality tailored toward people of color. Traditional wellness spaces had long excluded or overlooked the unique needs of communities of color, especially regarding ancestral and familial wounds needing repair through loving dialogue or ritual practice. Hale House responded by creating programming explicitly addressing intergenerational trauma using mindfulness tools rooted in African diaspora traditions, alongside modern therapeutic methods. The impact has been profound. Hill House became a national leader spotlighted by Oprah Magazine, CNBC, and Essence as an innovative model bridging entrepreneurship, wellness, and spiritual growth. Clients report remarkable success in mending parent child bonds through workshops centered on forgiveness and self compassion practices drawn from diverse faith traditions. What's particularly striking about Hill House is that both founders' personal struggles navigating corporate America inspired them to create something radically different, a business built not only for us, but by us, prioritizing inner transformation as the key driver behind outer success. During the pandemic, they expanded programming virtually, reaching a global audience while maintaining deep local impact. In doing so, they shifted industry standards around what it means for entrepreneurs and leaders of color to center spirit led approaches inside successful businesses. These three examples, Therapy for Black Girls, the Loveland Foundation, and Heal House, illustrate a profound truth that Etorya M. Johnson has been championing. When we integrate spiritual love guidance into our professional and personal lives, we don't just heal ourselves, we create ripples of transformation throughout our communities. But here's where things get really interesting. These organizations aren't succeeding despite their spiritual foundations. They're thriving because of them. By rejecting the false dichotomy between professional success and spiritual wholeness, they've discovered a more integrated, sustainable approach to both. This is what Etorya calls walking softly yet powerfully through our soft girl era, where leading professionally starts from loving courageously within. It's about understanding that true strength doesn't come from compartmentalizing our lives, but from bringing our whole authentic selves to everything we do. To be clear, this isn't about abandoning boundaries or professional standards. Quite the opposite. It's about establishing more authentic, meaningful boundaries based on self knowledge and self love rather than fear and external expectations. It's about recognizing that when we nurture our spiritual connection to ourselves, we become better equipped to navigate complex professional relationships, to lead with both compassion and clarity, and to build organizations that don't just succeed financially, but contribute meaningfully to collective healing. So I ask you today, what would shift if you approached every relationship, from boardroom negotiations to repairing bonds with loved ones, with unconditional compassion rooted deeply within your own spirit? Imagine walking into your next difficult conversation grounded not in defensiveness or fear, but in a deep well of self love and spiritual connection. How might that change the dynamic? What possibilities might emerge that weren't visible before? The revolution we need in our workplaces, our communities, our families begins within each of us. It begins with healing our relationship with ourselves, with reconnecting to our spiritual essence, and with bringing that wholeness into every interaction we have. This isn't some abstract ideal, it's happening right now, led by visionaries like Atoria Johnson and the change makers I've shared with you today. They're showing us that love, not as a sentimental emotion, but as a spiritual practice, is the most powerful force for transformation we have. I challenge you to take one step this week toward integrating your spiritual and professional selves. Set one boundary rooted in self love. Bring one spiritual practice into your workday. Have one conversation where you show up with your whole authentic self. Because when we stop fragmenting ourselves. When we bring love into leadership, spirituality into strategy, and wholeness into every aspect of our lives, we don't just transform ourselves, we transform everything around us. The spiritual revolution has already begun. The only question is, will you join it? Thank you